Russow. I'm a certified life coach and been a marriage and family therapist for over 30 years, including past president of the Kentucky Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. I'm here to talk with you about a really difficult subject, and that's separation, whether it's from your partner, from your spouse, from a very, very important relationship that you're in. Nothing probably hurts or cuts deeper than someone who says, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Immediately, you may have sensed something was going on, but you had no clue it was that. Perhaps you felt your partner distancing, or maybe actually recently they had been acting even more loving towards you. So it's a very, very confusing and a very painful time. I've had it happen to me, so I understand. It's been 25 years, but sometimes when I think back on it, it seems like yesterday. But I'm here to break down for you some very useful steps that you can take in your healing process. When your spouse or your partner or your lover first says this to you, you may just simply be stunned. You don't even know what to say. And oftentimes they kind of drop it on you as they're walking out the door. The timing is never going to be good, but some timing is obviously much worse than others. Sometimes they tell you before they're leaving on a business trip, or you're getting ready to go on a vacation, or they tell you at night and then tell you they're really tired, don't disturb them, they want to go to sleep. You're up the rest of the night just stuck with this horrible news. So some of the feelings you may feel at first are shock, disbelief, incredible pain, and most of all, often a sense of helplessness. Now, as the news slowly starts to sink in, you can experience a lot of feelings such as, what? Who are you to tell me you don't want to be in love with me? Hey, you're not perfect. You have faults too. How about the time you? So it can dissolve into feelings from anger to rejection to self-blame, to thinking of all the times that you could have done something differently, to thinking, oh my gosh, if only they had told me, if only I had known, what did I miss? What didn't I see? These are all the kinds of thoughts that run through people's minds that I coach. Let me tell you, there are different stages to this, and the first is what I just simply call shock and sometimes denial. It's just so hard to believe. Maybe they're mistaken. You think, oh my gosh, is there somebody else? And you may say, well, wait a minute, is there somebody else? What do you mean you don't love me anymore? Chances are at first they're going to tell you that it's no one else, even if it is. That's the truth. And they were probably more discontent than you thought. They may have even thrown out some things to you, but everybody's busy. You just think it's the mood they're in or whatever, so you may not be particularly attentive to it. So the first stage is shock or denial. And during this stage, like I said, you replay through your mind just about every scenario. When did they tell you that? Didn't you just have a fun time? Didn't you just go on vacation? How long have they been feeling this way? Is there another person? Is there any hope? Are they willing to work on things? These are all some of the kinds of thoughts. Now, some people are like, well, I'm not really in love either. But you probably wouldn't be watching this video if you're one of those people, right? This is for those who really are hurting or troubled. Oftentimes you may have children and you're not sure, well, oh my gosh, well, what about the kids? So in this first part where it's shock, I'm going to walk you through a couple of things that might be most helpful to you to do. First of all, you want to ask your spouse or your partner or whatever, I don't understand. Can you tell me more? Try to see if you can get them to tell you any information at all that might be useful to you if you are going to pick up the pieces. And when they start telling you, your normal response is going to be to want to defend yourself, to say, well, how about the time you, or just to deny their experience. That's not going to be helpful to you or to them. So listen, even if it's painful and killing you inside and you remember it totally differently, just listen and ask them to tell you more. Check your own emotions. Like I said, it's seriously like a death, or it can be. It's a terribly grieving and confusing time, and you want to just pick up the pieces like nothing's happened, but on the same time you're left reeling. So when you're talking with your spouse, ask them if they don't want to talk then, would they be willing to set aside time to talk with you either later that day or the next day, or even by phone if they're going to be out of town. And during this time, your strategy needs to be simply 3 words: tell me more. You can ask them, how long have you been feeling this way? You know, what was it like for you to tell me now? You know, what did you think my response was going to be? And you can certainly ask them, it would be helpful for me to know if there is anyone else. Now, like I said, they may deny that, but you want to keep that information in your mind anyway, because oftentimes people don't want you to think, well, I loved you because there's another person. In their mind, they're thinking that's irrelevant. I loved you because I wasn't happy anymore. You can certainly ask them, do they see or feel like there's any hope? Would they be willing to work on the relationship? Now, I want to tell you, if they say no, you're going to be discouraged, but don't be too discouraged. I have worked with many people that have successfully gotten back together where only the man or the wife came in, where the other spouse really wasn't invested and didn't want to work on it. And there's a book I recommend called How the One of You Can Bring the Two of You Together. There's another book called Divorce Remedy. So there's different books out there that will really help you not feel so helpless. I also don't want it to give you false leads, but at least it gives you a bit of an action plan during the time in case there is any hope. The second thing I want you to do is to think about, who are you going to tell this information to? Now, let me caution you, you don't want to tell everybody. In fact, you might not even want to tell your family at all, even though you're very close to them, and they may sense that something is wrong. I suggest you tell 1 or 2 best friends and ask them to help you with your feelings through this time. You might not really want a lot of advice necessarily, but you just want somebody to listen. You can also ask them if they would respect your privacy during this time, that it's really important for you, especially if you're going to work on it. You don't want you and your spouse to have to deal with, you know, advice from a lot of people or what your family may say, or, you know, some families have had really toxic breakups in their heritage and they just go there rather than see your situation as unique. If you don't have a best friend and you feel like you can trust a sister or your mother or someone to be with you and not necessarily think terribly negatively of your spouse or your partner right away, then that's okay. I understand that we all need someone. And if you're watching this and you've already told them, don't chastise yourself. That's okay too. But you can ask them to please respect you and your spouse or your partner's privacy, to not, you know, to tell Aunt Susie or Uncle Clem or whatever, just to kind of, as best you can, to keep that information to them. So when you find out, oftentimes the spouse may still be, or the partner, especially let's talk about the spouse for a minute, or a partner, they could be living with you and you might even have children. So, or they may say, you know, I've got another place, I'll be moving out tomorrow, which is even more of a bombshell, especially if you have children. So you also during this time will have to think of an action plan with the children and how you're going to explain that. And we'll go a little bit more into children in a different video. But for right now, it may also be that you need professional help. So I would suggest you look for a life coach that's experienced with marital and relationship issues, family issues, or a marriage and family therapist that is. It's going to be very important that you do choose someone. I actually have both. Like I said, I'm a certified life coach as well as a marriage and family therapist, and I've actually been a licensed therapist for over 35 years. So one of the hardest things you're going to do is you are going to be learning about yourself, because this news hits you on so many levels. Who am I? You know, I'm a wife and a mother, or you know, a woman in a serious relationship, or a man in a serious relationship, and it spills over. You know, it starts to spill over, like into not sleeping and How do I compartmentalize it so I can seem okay at work? And so you're going to need an action plan. And we're going to go into all of that in our future videos. I'm also going to be printing up a guide that will be able to help you